I want to talk about SAT cheating, a rising scandal. Parents are fuming about other people's kids getting extra time on the SAT. Now, I'd heard tell of this through other articles and other news stories throughout the years, but this one was really specific. Parents have reached a breaking point. They're extremely angry. And so I decided to look a little more into it. Now, before I go on, I have to give a warning. Warning, 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 warning. This is for commenters and chatters. Whatever you have, ADHD, anxiety, IBS, I believe that it's real. I'm not calling your whatever you've been diagnosed with not real. I am saying that there is a strong bit of evidence that wealthier students are exaggerating, faking, or using this stuff to get advantages on tests. So let's go into it. The SAT, an important test for college admissions here in America. And what's interesting is, on the SAT, you have a certain allotted amount of time to take the test. And that is how it's used to be standardized. It's a standardized aptitude test. People, over time, have claimed that because of certain conditions like anxiety or ADHD or irritable bowel syndrome, that they need more time. They need 50% more time or double the time, or they need extra bathroom breaks, or they need a special quiet room. Accommodations, they're called. The normal population at like a community college or a non-wealthy high school or whatever of people taking the SAT with these accommodations, having these problems, is 2.7%. Less than 3 out of 100 are diagnosed with these issues that require special accommodation. But one thing you'll notice is if you start looking at the wealthier and more successful schools, like Amherst College, that number jumps up to 34%. At like Brown, it's 22%. Cornell, it's 25%. And at Stanford, the most egregious in the country, Stanford, by the way, probably because they also give special dorm room accommodations if you have a disability. Which means you can get a single room instead of a double. You don't have to have a roommate. 38% of students at Stanford right now have a disability, officially diagnosed disability. Over a third are saying they have a disability that allows them to get extra time on a test, a special room. And what's interesting is all evidence suggests that these disabilities should be more prevalent among people who are financially struggling, because the idea of like stressors, nutrition access, all that stuff should be higher. But it's the inverse. You see him appear way more often among wealthy students. This guy's from Stanford. He's saying half of his class gets to take their test in the accommodations room and get extra time. So the graph is insane, and it's rising so fast in recent years. Now, you may have heard about something similar to this with the Varsity Blues scandal back in 2019. This kind of went viral. There was a Netflix movie about it. It was mostly about college admissions, though. This is like the Lori Loughlin, dozens of parents got charged. But what's interesting is they focused mainly on the fake admissions, creating a fake sport your kid played and like hiring whatever, all that stuff. That was the big story. But under the radar was a lot of what we're seeing come to the surface now with regards to test concessions and test accommodations. This is from the depositions. This is from the released depositions of these trials, okay? So this is a recorded taped phone call between this guy selling accommodations and this woman who's a mom. She goes, "Thanks for taking the time earlier today. I'm particularly interested in working with you guys and figuring out what's best for my daughter. She's an interesting kid. I'm sure you've seen them all. But this notion of going in, flying out to LA, sitting with your proctor and taking the exam is pretty interesting." Now, what they're doing is they're creating a separate testing site with a special proctor who is extremely accommodating, if not helping cheat. And these students can fly out and take the test there in this special quiet room. And this is the home run of home runs. And it works every time. Talks about how you have to appeal to get the accommodation. So what we'll do is I need you to tell your daughter that when she gets tested to be as stupid, to not be as smart as she is. The goal is to be slow, to be not as bright, all that we show discrepancies. They have this plan where people are faking. They are faking some kind of thing in order to get, and they have to pay. This is a leaked combo. This is a leaked combo, yes. You have to pay money. So it's like $4,000, $5,000. And if they don't get it from one psychologist, they just go to the next one. They are just going down the list until they find somebody who will give their kid the diagnosis they want. And they use that diagnosis to get an advantage on these extremely important tests. Now, the simple advantage is more time, which is scientifically proven to give a better result. They've run numerous double-blind studies, and they find that 18 out of 20 times, even if the person has the same, they take both things, they'll get a higher score with the more time. So standardized starts to feel like the wrong word here because running out of time is standard on the exam. And the exam is designed so you don't have all the time to do every question. And it gives you a huge advantage. The mom asks, won't schools find out? Won't schools know this is going on? Schools don't know. That's why you have to get the 100% bonus time or 50% multiple days. So what you can also do is you can get accommodation to take the test over multiple days, which means you could literally memorize a question you don't know the answer to, leave, go home, figure out the answer, then come back another day. And there's a current accommodation people are taking right now. That's let alone if you go to their testing center. The accommodations were meant to level the playing field, but what's happening is they're tilting the playing field towards those with money and access. And it's absolutely true. While these are diagnosed at normal rates at regular schools with middle-income people, they are diagnosed extremely high among wealthy students. And they are getting a structural advantage on these standardized tests that allows wealth and privilege to have a so-called higher score that allows them to beat people out for these elite colleges. Many more students, especially the affluent, get extra time to take the SAT. And what's interesting is there's nothing scientific about the measurement of how much time you get. If the test is balanced around a certain amount of time, how come IBS is plus 50% or ADHD is plus 100? There's no way to know how much time should be extra to be balanced. And so people just kind of get what they demand and what they push for. And so the power scaling gives you more, power scaling is the wrong word, but it gives you more, just a huge leg up and a way to not balance it. And I wanted to figure out why this is happening recently, or what was the timeline that got us here? And it started with, I think, really good intentions. So the truth is, this guy, Mark Brimehorst, in the year 2000, had a true disability. He had no hands. And so he needed extra time for the test. It was just required, okay? And so Brimehorst took extra time for the test. He got a good score on the GMAT. And then when it was submitted, they had marked it by saying the score is obtained under special circumstances. This is what they used to do. If you took extra time or you needed an accommodation, extra bathroom breaks, whatever, it would be fine. You get your score, but it would say this. It would just have a mark on it that said special circumstances. And he sued and said that was a scarlet letter that was making him less appealing to colleges or whatever. It made his score seem less than, which I think is a fair point. Maybe people would assume that there was something wrong with it. So once they got rid of this because of his lawsuit, that also got rid of the last barrier to being wait a minute, this is just better. And so rich people started to realize, wait a minute, I think there's a direct quote. The guy they called on the phone, it was basically saying wealthy families have realized that it's a bonus for their kids, so that they're behind if they don't do it. And so now it's like an arms race where wealthy families don't want their kids to fall behind. So they're finding ever increasing wilder accommodations and reasons to get them and spending money through the nose to make that happen. So again, look, some students with severe anxiety can take the ACT over 4 days. And diagnosing severe anxiety is not a universally agreed upon test. Do you know what I'm saying? Different psychologists can say different things, and some psychologists like money. There's just this huge advantage that's building and building and building. This has been going on for years, but now it's getting so extreme that parents are starting to really freak out because, especially if you're in that upper middle, you can't even afford to keep up with this race. You can't afford to pay all the different psychologists to try and keep up. Some of them have to spend $10,000 for a diagnosis, or finding a gastroenterologist to support requests for unlimited bathroom breaks. Again, unlimited bathroom breaks with a friendly proctor is basically a license to cheat. It's a license to go to the bathroom, take out your phone, check the question, then come back. It's a license to cheat. Everyone knows this. And so I mentioned this on stream, and I asked people if they had any stories of this, and I got a ton. I picked 2, I think. Some people have parents that have pushed them into using this. Some people have legitimate ADHD, and they feel upset because they know other people are cheating with it, and it makes them feel like they're getting roped into that bucket. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people who are angry about it. This guy said, big blizzard, which you don't have to call me that in private or in public or ever. You said you wanted stories of SAT extra time, and boy, do I have some stories. I'm graduating today from a private high school in Boston, rich kid school. In my graduating class of 110 students, 25 receive extra time on College Board tests. They are not underperformers in normal class. Even our valedictorian got extra time. The school encourages it too. Like when we took our practice PSATs, the students who did not finish all the questions before the time ran out were like taken to a classrooms afterwards and pitched on how they could qualify for extra time because it benefits the school to have a higher score. So even they're in on it, dude. And so it's like a weird thing where wealthy schools are like helping kids towards these outcomes, which give them a structural advantage over regular people. I would like to make a bigger point. It's not just the SAT this applies to, it's all college board tests like the PSAT and AP test. If you do well enough on the PSAT, you can get full rides to some state colleges. I did that for ASU, by the way. Cha-ching. One of my best friends is an egregious example of a student who gets extra time and really shouldn't. We took 12 AP classes together. He was always a top 3 scorer in class, yet on test day, he gets 50% more time. For AP tests, timing is what makes them hard. I could get another 10% correct if I had enough time. And this is proven, by the way. So mathematically, your score goes up by like an average of, it's like 5 to 7, something like that, if you get 50% more time. Just being able to review your answers on math questions with more time, you can just take the answers, the multiple choice answers, and reverse engineer them to find them out. You have more time to do that. You can guess and check. On reading questions, you get more time to like really study the material. I want to be absolutely clear. My friend does not have ADHD or any other medical need for extra time. He does, however, have a prescription for Adderall, which he sells. So look, I mean, this is shit we're seeing, bro. It's like boots on the ground. Students are seeing this unfair application of the rules. You mentioned if someone has a story about ADHD to message you on Discord. I'm late, but I'm 29 and I was diagnosed with ADHD, dyslexia, and auditory processing issue when I was 13 or 14. Okay, had to go doctors when I was 8. My family was in a situation where they could afford the evaluation. Even after getting my diagnosis, it took longer to get meds, and my high school admission wouldn't let me take honors or AP classes because of disabilities. This is an example of a person I wanted to include who was like, they legitimately have it, and this whole cheating around it has made it harder for them to get legitimate belief. When I have mentioned that I have my learning disability, I get 1 of 3 responses. 1, people say, yeah, I think I am too. People tell me, no, I'm not, because I don't act like someone with a disability. Or 3, how did you get your diagnosis so I can get meds? I agree they're overdiagnosed, and it's frustrating because now people think where I am because I faked my symptoms. There are always people in school that try to buy it and get meds somehow, but I feel like now it feels like it's everywhere. Sorry, I rambled. Well, you have ADHD, so don't worry about it. Anyway, this is what we're seeing. It's crazy. And on top of this, there's been an increase, not just in like this structural wealthy advantage where you get more time if you can lean on a psychologist, but there's been an increase in the SAT of actual cheating, like legitimate straight up cheating. Now, when I was a kid, a movie came out called The Perfect Score.
If it takes 15 people 8 hours to make 100 items, how many hours will it take 6 people working at the same rate to make half as many items?
Dude, it's like impossible.
3 little letters.
And it's all about how a bunch of students hate the SAT so much they decide to steal the answers from the college board. They sneak in, steal the answers to try and beat the SAT. And I remember watching this as a kid. I saw this in theaters, and I was like, damn, that sounds great. Well, nowadays, you don't even have to do that because the SAT has gone digital, and people are finding much easier ways to cheat than what you need with Captain America, when you need it for a movie, dude. As of March 2024, this is relatively recently, the SAT switched from being only paper to now digital. And it turns out once the SAT is administered on laptops and you can bring your own laptop, people have found many, many, many ways to cheat. And not only to cheat, but to steal the questions out of the testing and get it out to the public. For example, time zone cheating. People take the test in one time zone, they upload the questions, and people in a later time zone have all the answers before their test begins. This is happening. Sites in China are selling test questions. So people get money from uploading real legitimate questions, and you can find them. I checked it out. It wasn't that hard to find. I was able to find this in no time. These are SAT exams. These are questions you can find online. SAT tutors have sounded the alarm. It is a multi-year breach of active test material accessible on a global scale. Additionally, the testing in the room has gotten even more advanced. So I found my old TI-83 graphic. That's how old I am. I have an 83, not an 84. It says Brandon Ewing on the back. I found this. I pulled this out. This is the exact one I used when I took the SAT. Well, nowadays, you can buy one of these. You can hollow it out and change the inside software to ChatGPT. And then you can buy this shit on eBay for $349. and it looks like a TI-84, but it has AI in it. And you can use it to solve your fucking problems. The level of cheating is getting absurd, dude. So much cheating is now going on in the SAT, the digital change, that non-students have now been banned from taking it. This is true. So many people, you know, primarily because the profit you can get from selling at the Chinese websites, were taking the SAT for fun and then stealing the questions. And they have now banned everyone but students from taking it. They're trying to crack down. It's a war that's tough to do, but that's what they're trying to do. You know, to sum all this up, man, I want you to know that, like, if you are somebody who feels like this feels unfair to you, that you are a regular person who's getting pushed around by either unwillingness to cheat or wealth and power or wealthier schools, you should simply do what these guys did in the movie, which is don't cheat, but be super hot and end up as superheroes. Because that's what they did. They just, the end of the perfect score is they decide not to cheat. The whole movie, they steal the answers and they throw them away. Then they get a bad score and then they become, it's simple. It's a simple solution. If you have more stories of this and you're watching this on Big A Clips, leave it in the comments. I'm interested in finding out what your lived experiences is. And again, I understand if you have these actual issues that it's frustrating to hear people are cheating about it, but I think it's worth talking about because something's got to change. It's not a fair test system. It's certainly not standardized. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.